It's meat day, Audrey. Jeff cheered as he checked his watch. The filet mignons are in transit. I can feel their energy approaching. I thought you said we had too many steaks in the freezer, Audrey noted. That was yesterday. Audrey, today is a new dawn. Today is about jerky and fresh ribeyes. But by 4 p.m., the package hadn't arrived. Jeff was pacing the living room like a caged tiger. The doorman, he's my prime suspect. I had a shipment of artisanal bacon go missing last year, and I still see him licking his lips whenever I walk by. Jeff, nobody stole your bacon. You probably just ate it and forgot. I never forget a pork product. I'm calling Russell. He's closer to the lobby. When Russell arrived, he looked more annoyed than usual. I had to trudge up here to tell you that your meat is in the fridge. Bingham. The doorman didn't steal it. He just didn't want the dry ice to explode and freeze the lobby dog. I knew it, Jeff shouted. He was holding it hostage. Chapter 15, The Hardware Test. Russell's annoyance, however, was quickly replaced by curiosity when a woman named Crystal from the IT department showed up to fix his office computer. "Hi, I'm Crystal," she said, her voice monotone and professional. "I'm here to service your hardware." Russell froze, a slow, predatory grin spreading across his face. "Service my hardware. Is that what we're calling it now? Because I have some very complex software that might need looking at." Crystal stared at him, unimpressed. "I'm talking about your motherboard. It has a glitch." "Oh, I bet it does," Russell purred. "Is it a naughty glitch? Does it need a firm hand?" "I'm going to run a diagnostic," she said, turning to the monitor. "I hope you're good at your job, because this could take a while." Russell leaned back, convinced he was in the opening scene of a very specific kind of movie. "Take all the time you need, Crystal. I'm a patient man when it comes to technology." 2 hours later, Russell walked into the diner, looking defeated. "She actually just fixed the computer. She didn't even look at my software. She just updated my drivers and left. Maybe your hardware wasn't up to her standards, Russell." Jeff laughed, finally biting into a perfectly cooked steak. Chapter 16, The Ultimate Game. As the night drew to a close, the group sat in silence for a moment, the neon lights of the diner reflecting off their coffee cups. They had survived mothers-in-law, timeshares, fertility tests, and corporate brochures. "You know," Adam said, breaking the quiet, "I think I finally figured out the rules of engagement." "Oh, yeah?" Jeff asked, skeptical. "What are they?" "There are no rules," Adam said with a shrug. "You just keep showing up, you try not to be an ass face, and you make sure you always have a spare mattress." Jeff considered this for a moment. He looked at Audrey, who was already eyeing his fries. He looked at Jen and Adam, who were finally at peace. He looked at Russell, who was already hitting on the waitress. "Close enough," Jeff said, sliding a fry toward Audrey. "Close enough." Chapter 17, The Preemptive Christmas. The dust had barely settled on the beige brochure war when a new conflict arose, one fueled by tinsel and tradition. It was early December, and Jennifer was already vibrating with holiday energy, but not the kind Faye would approve of. "We're opening our presents tonight," Jennifer announced as she walked into the Bingham's apartment, holding a stack of wrapped boxes. Jeff looked up from the TV. "It's December 18th. Jen, the man in red hasn't even finished his pre-flight checklist. Isn't that like a felony in most households?" "It's a tradition in my family," Jen said defensively. "We do it to stick it to the man. We don't like Santa having all the power. Stick it to the man." Jeff chuckled. "Who's the man in this scenario?" "Saint Nick, the guy who gives away free stuff. That's like protesting a winning lottery ticket." Adam followed her in, looking exhausted. "My family opens them a week early, too. Jeff, it saves us from the Christmas morning rush. Plus, it gives me more time to play with whatever I get before the actual holiday." "Adam," Audrey said, shaking her head, "Christmas morning is the whole point. The anticipation, the ritual, the shame of eating cookies for breakfast. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people." "Audrey," Jen said, though she looked a bit guilty. "Besides, my brothers always used to open mine anyway, so I had to get there first just to survive." Chapter 18, The Heavyweight Bout. Mention of the brothers brought a haunted look to Adam's eyes. He sat down on the sofa, nursing his shoulder. "Speaking of brothers," Adam said, "did I ever tell you about the wrestling matches? Every night after dinner, the living room turned into the WWE. For animalistic brothers and me, the scrawny one." "Is that how you got the concussion?" Jen asked, her tone softening. "One of them. My brother Steve once threw me into the wall because I tapped out too slowly. He said it was for my own good, to build character. My father just sat there and told me to tuck his chin. See?" Jeff said, gesturing to the room. "And you think my family is weird because we like TV. At least a sitcom doesn't give you a traumatic brain injury. They were having good, clean fun." "Jeff," Adam insisted, though he flinched when Jeff moved his hand too quickly. "It built a bond made of bruises and shared trauma. I was raised with a healthy dose of shame and guilt," Audrey added, "Catholic style. We didn't wrestle. We just stared at each other until someone felt bad enough to apologize for something they didn't even do." Chapter 19, The Happy Scale. A few days later, Jeff was preparing for his final insurance follow-up. He had made weight thanks to his structurally significant wrists, but he was still obsessed with the numbers. "Audrey, I'm using the scale in the bathroom," Jeff shouted. "Don't do it, Jeff. That's the happy scale." Jeff paused, one foot on the platform. "The happy scale. Is that another Faye thing?" "No," Audrey said, walking in. "It's the scale I set to be 10 pounds lighter. It makes me feel better about my morning muffin. The bitchy accurate scale is in the closet under the winter coats." Jeff stared at the display. which currently told him he weighed as much as a well-fed toddler. So, I'm not an optimal male. I'm just a man with a dishonest bathroom appliance. You're optimal in my eyes, Jeff, and that's the only scale that matters. Jeff sighed, stepping off the scale. Fine,